I came back from visiting my son to find a steel gate blocking the path to the lake. The path I'd walked every dawn since my wife, Ellie, passed away. The HOA president stood there, smirking, waving papers with my forged signature, claiming I'd given up my rights. 3 months later, on a frigid October night, 15 of their homes went up in flames. And that $1 million gate they built to keep me out trapped them inside, screaming, while I ran into the fire to pull them out, even her. My name's Frank Larson, a 63-year-old retired Army engineer living on a quiet acre by Lake Michigan in Pine Hollow, Wisconsin. Ellie and I bought this place a decade ago, dreaming of sunrises over the water. Our deed guaranteeing lake access since the 1940s. After Ellie's heart attack 4 years back, those walks became my lifeline, my way to talk to her, to feel her in the waves lapping the shore. But when I saw that gate, glinting under the morning sun, and Karen Voss, the Crestwood HOA president, telling me my mornings were over, I knew this wasn't just about a path, it was about control, greed, and a betrayal that cut deeper than I ever imagined. I'd been in Chicago for a week, helping my son, Ethan, settle into his new job, and when I got back, the gate was up. A hulking slab of steel across the trail I'd worn smooth with my boots. Karen, a polished woman in her 50s with a realtor's smile and a viper's bite, stepped out of a sleek SUV, flanked by 2 suits who screamed corporate muscle. "Frank," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "This path's HOA property now. You signed it over last month, see?" She held up a document, my name scrawled at the bottom, perfect down to the last loop. Only I'd never signed it. "That's a fake," I said, my voice steady despite the heat rising in my chest. "My deed's older than your neighborhood." She laughed, sharp and cold. "Your deed's outdated, Mr. Larson. And that dock of yours? It's a hazard. Remove it by next week." As they drove off, I noticed my trail cams, the ones I'd set up after Ellie's death, were spray-painted black. This wasn't a mistake. This was a setup. I called my neighbor, Joe Callahan, a retired Milwaukee cop who'd moved here for the same quiet I craved. "You see this gate?" I asked, my voice tight. "They planned it while you were gone," Joe said, his tone grim. "My phone kept dropping your calls. Bet they messed with the signal." We checked my house, my old German Shepherd, Max, growling at the door. It was ajar, though I'd locked it tight. Inside, I found my kitchen table covered with Ellie's old photo albums, pages torn, her face scratched out. Standing there, holding a locket she'd worn every day, was Lisa Monroe, my housekeeper of 8 years. She looked at me. No guilt, just defiance. "She owns you now, Frank," she said, nodding toward Karen's SUV fading down the road. "You should have taken their offer." Then she walked out, leaving me in a house that didn't feel like mine anymore. The next day, a stack of lawsuits landed in my mailbox, each one a gut punch. Crestwood HOA claimed my porch was 3 inches over the property line. My dock was killing fish. Max's barking was a public disturbance. My shed violated zoning from the 1800s. And my house's faded blue paint was aesthetic noncompliance. They demanded $150,000 in fines and compliance costs. Joe sat with me, flipping through the papers. "They're burying you in fees," he said. "Make it so expensive you sell." Then my bank called. An anonymous tip flagged my accounts for fraud. My insurance company threatened to drop me. The local feed store, where I'd bought grain for years, turned me away. "HOA's our biggest client," the owner muttered, avoiding my eyes. I dug deeper, my old engineer's brain kicking in, piecing together the puzzle. Lisa wasn't just a housekeeper. She was Karen's cousin, paid through a shell company, Bayside Ventures, owned by Karen's husband, Greg Voss, who ran Shoreline Development. They'd use Lisa to spy. Copying my signature from Ellie's hospital forms. My notary confirmed it. "Too perfect, Frank. It's a scan." But the notary who'd witnessed the transfer was dead, a hit and run a month ago. Then I found tiny cameras in my house, living room, kitchen, even Ellie's old sewing room. They'd watched me mourn, turn my grief into a weapon. The real blow came when Ethan called. His voice strained. "Dad, Sarah thinks you should sell. This stress isn't worth it." Sarah, his fiancée, was a tech consultant I'd never warmed to, always distracted, always on her phone. "Since when does Sarah care about my health?" I asked. He hesitated. "She's just worried, Dad." But something felt off, like he was reading a script. I checked Lisa's bank records. Thanks to Joe's cop contacts, and found payments from Bayside to Sarah's consulting firm. My son's fiancée was in on it, feeding them intel through Ethan. I sat at Ellie's grave that night, her old scarf in my hands, whispering, I don't know if I can fight this, Elle. They've got Ethan. They've got everything. But in the wind off the lake, I swear I heard her. Keep going, Frank. For them. Joe, and I found excavation marks near my fence, fresh, deep, leading to an unmarked utility box. An old army buddy, Pete Daniels, a pipeline engineer, took one look and went pale. These gas lines are junk, not up to code, buried in frozen ground. One leak, and this whole place is a bomb. We traced them to Shoreline's illegal drilling, part of a plan to run cables under the lake for a $400 million data center. My land was the only way through without hitting protected wetlands. Documents from a deceased HOA board member, Walter Klein, sealed it. Project Lakefront Ascent, a 60-page blueprint to seize 400 yards of shoreline, displace 38 families, and build a tech hub. My name was circled. Widower, Army vet. Exploit emotional vulnerability. They escalated fast. Max vanished one afternoon, found hours later in the woods, poisoned with lab-grade toxins. A photo of Ethan asleep in Chicago tucked in his collar, red ink scrawling, "Quit, or he's next." I raced him to the vet, my hands shaking as he convulsed. He's a fighter, the vet said, pulling him through. But the message was clear. I called Ethan, got Sarah instead. He's in a meeting, she purred. Big project. You know how it is. Her voice was too smooth, too practiced. Joe stopped me from confronting her. If she's with him, we can't tip her off. Then it got worse. Driving back from Walter's house, a truck ran a light, aiming for my door. Instinct saved me. I swerved, spinning into a ditch, bruised but alive. Joe, tailing me, grabbed the truck's dash cam, not recording the road but me, with Greg Voss's reflection in the windshield. Grinning. They'd filmed an attempted hit. I was done hiding. I called Colonel Ed Ramsey, my old CO, now at the state AG's office. Frank, he said, gripping my hand. Nobody screws with my crew. He poured over Pete's gas line report, Walter's files, the dash cam. This is RICO level, Frank. We're going federal. A surveyor, Maggie Holt, confirmed my deed held firm to the lake's edge. The gate was on my land. Illegal as hell. Walter's grandson handed over a hidden cache, emails, bribes. A spreadsheet listing collateral damage, suicides, heart attacks, even Ellie's death, marked accelerated outcome. Had they killed her? The thought burned, but Ed kept me focused. We'll get answers, but first, we stopped them. We played their game, staging a surrender. I packed boxes, called Karen's realtor, let their cameras watch me break. But behind the scenes, Ed prepped FBI raids, and I slipped Maggie's survey to a judge. October hit with a polar vortex, the ground frozen solid, trapping gas from Shoreline's botched drilling. At 3 a.m., I woke choking. Gas flooding my house. Max barked like a banshee, clawing the door. I dialed 911, shouting, "Gas leak at Crestwood. Evacuate now." Fire trucks reached the gate, but Karen's SUV blocked it. Her voice shrill on body cam. "This is private property. You need HOA clearance." The chief rammed the gate, but those minutes cost lives. I didn't wait, pounding on doors, Max limping beside me. Pulling people out. Old Mrs. Carter, the Lopez kids, Joe's sister. The gas, trapped by frozen soil, hit the sewers, and at 3:22 a.m., a garage heater sparked. The first house exploded, then 14 more. Fire tornadoes swirling in the cold, the gate melting into slag. I ran into the flames, army training kicking in. Kicked in the Thompsons' door, dragged their teens through smoke. Found the Garcias in their attic, coughing, guided by Max's barks. Karen's mansion was last, her fireproof safe room a death trap, Vince pulling in smoke. I hacked through the door with a fire axe, heat searing my hands, and carried her out, her eyes wide with shock. "You saved me," she gasped, soot-streaked, as medics took her. "Yeah," I said, voice raw. Ellie would've. "One death, Mrs." Carter's heart gave out, but 37 survived, thanks to us. Ethan called at dawn, voice slurred, panicked. "Dad, Sarah's dead. They shot her." He was safe, shaken, in Chicago. Sarah, Shoreline's mole, had tried to warn him, got a bullet for it. The FBI swarmed Pine Hollow, raiding Shoreline's offices, pulling emails, bribes, Even footage of Karen spiking Ellie's four with a heart-stopping drug, passing it as a heart attack. She'd been digging into Shoreline's early scams for the local paper. They'd silenced her, thinking I'd never know. The trial was a circus, 68 charges. Murder to eco-terrorism. Karen got 30 years, no parole, breaking when they showed her mother's fraud conviction, her life's obsession to outdo her. Greg Voss got 40, caught fleeing on a yacht. Sobbing his cuffs clicked. Commissioner Hal Perry died in custody, stress-induced stroke. 9 HOA cronies got 3 to 12 years, Lisa 2 for burglary, her apology letter unread in my drawer. I won $4. $2 million, but no money could replace Ellie, Ethan's trust, or Max's limp. Pine Hollow rebuilt. Ethan started a land rights nonprofit. Joe ran for mayor, won big. Max became a therapy doc. Calming fire survivors. The Morrison Law passed, locking in property rights, helping thousands. On the fire's anniversary, we dedicated a lakeside memorial, Mrs. Carter's name first. Kids painting the gate's old posts with sunflowers. I scattered Ellie's ashes in the lake. Ethan at my side, the sunrise golden. We did it, Elle. I whispered, the water free, the path open. But last week, a burner phone texted me a photo. Us at the memorial, taken from the woods. Scrawled below, MBV watches. Karen's in prison, her allies locked up, so who's left? Last night, Max growled at the dark, and I found a knife stuck in my gate, blade glinting. I'm not running, this lake's mine, Ellie's, ours. Who's pulling the strings, a shoreline holdout, or something bigger? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Would you fight or flee? Hit that bell, share this, because someone's out there, facing their own gate, and they need to know they can break it down. Stay strong, y'all.